Good morning, or should I say good afternoon, or should I say good evening? Well, whatever it is, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. Welcome to Module 13, Materials Handling and Storage within the construction industry. Yeah, so what we're going to do, you see three little pictures here. So here would be a nice example. We got a pile of bricks, and does OSHA have something to say about how we pile things up, whether it be lumber, whether it be bricks, whether it be pipe, materials such as that? Does OSHA have any guidelines on how we're going to lift items? So here would be a chain, other lifting mechanisms. So it looks like here we have a cable and we have wires. So any kind of rules like that is what we're going to look at. Looking at the OSHA criteria, you see a much smaller number of references here, right? So that's good. What this tells you is this topic is very straightforward. And that's what we like. We like straightforward topics. One more plug again for the Cornell Law School. So I gave you the link for that, for the 1926 standards, right? And subpart H is for the material handling, storage, use, and disposal. So we are mostly under the handling here, and a little bit about the storage. Okay, so 1926, 250, 251, 252 would be the disposal of the waste. Yeah, so now, you can see this is a nice user-friendly kind of a deal. You can get to the link where you want to go, and then you have the next and the previous. So that can be a nice little reference for you here in the coming years. Additionally, OSHA does have a little pamphlet, so the 2236 pamphlet. So not really very big. Yeah, so here it is right here, 41 pages, right? And here you can see what the table of contents looks like. What kind of precautions should we be doing? Safeguards when lifting. They talk about conveyors, grains. So that really gets into it. Training and education. So a lot of these pamphlets, what I do like about them is I kind of like pictures. And this pamphlet here, not so many pictures, but still, to let you know that it is there for you. Okay, so getting right into it, we talk about what are we going to do? What's OSHA going to do when we start looking at structural steel, poles, pipes, right? So they do have rules on them, and basically what we want to do is make sure that we don't go too high. We want to make sure that when we pile this material higher and higher, that it doesn't spread out, that it doesn't fall down, that it doesn't collapse and hurt somebody, right? So that's what they're after there. Here's an example for barrels or for kegs. So when you're putting them up and down like that, so end to end, OSHA says put in some plywood in here. So that'll be good for putting in the forklift, right? Here, if you put them sideways, it says to put blocks here so it doesn't roll around, right? So that is a OSHA requirement to do that. Oh, here's a blue shaded one. So it might be important here for your quiz question in your workbook under Module 13. So when you store materials, you know, big picture things, we should never store materials that's going to cause an additional hazard for employees, right? So it shouldn't be stacked up so high that it's going to tip over, uh, you know, things like that. It shouldn't be uh, causing tripping hazards. It shouldn't cause fires or help get an explosion going, right? So wherever you store things, you have to have good housekeeping, because if you start tripping over things, that's really bad. When things start leaking, you know, it can be a hazard too. And when you are storing materials in a construction zone, they always give you this 6 foot free area zone. Um, Kind of like an area that has to be um, open, right? So if you're going to have a floor opening, you have to give at least 6 feet. Then that way, you know, people can get around it easily. They won't accidentally go through that hole, right? And then if you have an exterior wall that's not as tall as your pile, then OSHA wants 10 feet on top of that. And of course, you don't ever want to put so much weight on the floor that it's going to hurt the structural integrity of your floor, right? So, man, here's a pile of lumber. You can see, boy, if this went too tall, you know, that would get really tippy, right? So the rule for OSHA is if you're going to manually stack lumber, then you have the 16-foot limit, right? So when you're looking at your quiz questions, in fact, I have it out right here, you know, so do not stack lumber more than 16 feet high when stacking manually. So the 16 feet is the manual limit. And of course, you want to take out the nails. You want to make sure that the bracing is nice and solid, right? Um, real, real common sense kind of items. Bags, when you are stacking materials that are in bags, um, notice how they go this way and then they go the other way, right? So the bag should be cross keyed every 10 layers as a minimum. Might as well do it everyone. Okay, and then for bricks, right? Yeah, bricks can fall over, everything can fall over, right? So when you're looking at bricks, stack it up no more than 7 feet up in the air. And if you're going to go up over the 6 foot level for masonry bricks, you got to taper it. So taper it, so kind of like a stair step system. So taper it back 2 inches for every foot above the 4 foot level. Okay, so that would be the rule for bricks. And then for earth moving equipment, of course, that's going to be moving a whole bunch of stuff and typical safety items here, everything from the alarm when you put the thing into reverse, right? Seat belts, you know, appropriate use of seat belts like they're designed to. These vehicles now they have a rollover protection. So in case you roll over, you know, you're going to have a protected environment in there so you don't get crushed. And then the seatbelt to keep you within that protected environment, right? So pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, and then for rigging equipment, you know, for slings, this would be a fiber sling over here, and with slings, you know, any kind of damage at all is worthy of taking it out of service. I apologize for my dog there, sorry. Okay, so getting into wire rope, or sometimes you call them cable. And, you know, I really like this graphic about this wire rope. you can really see that these are just strands within strands within strands. Like you got a piece of metal here, and then you got another piece, they wrap up together, and then they wrap together, this wraps together. So it's a pretty ingenious design that the engineers have come up with, but it works really well. However, again, we have to be really careful about it. So under this wire rope, um, what we do is you look at the length of the rope, and you figure out what the diameter is, and then you multiply that times 8, and then under that given length, you can only have visible broken wires of only 10% maximum, right? So that isn't very much. Rule of thumb is, boy, that would be a good time if you see any kind of a cable that has broken wires in there, call it to the attention of the foreman, right? And the foreman's going to have lots of experiences, and more than likely, it's going to be taken out of service. It's that big of a deal. Synthetic webs, again, same thing. All of the stitching has to be 100% good. It's going to have good warning labels on here also, but it almost has to be perfect to keep it in use. Okay, and here are some reasons to take it out of service. Any kind of burns, yeah, any kind of melting, any kind of charring, snags, punctures, tears, cuts, broken or worn stitches, distortion of fittings. So you can see that this is a pretty robust demand for the synthetic web slings to remain in service. They have to stay almost picture perfect. Okay, so 1926, 252 disposal of materials, right? So here they're doing some construction work here on the top floor, and then they're going to get rid of their materials and they're throwing it down this chute. So it goes down into this industrial dumpster. Okay, so use an enclosed chute if you have more than 20 feet of drop, and that will keep everything from blowing away, hitting people, things like that. Okay, and then for manually moving materials, whole bunch of rules and regulations under that. So I think what I will do is I'm just going to send you over to short, I think it's like a 2.5 minute video. Here you can see a couple of people trying to lift something, so it's kind of heavy, it's kind of cumbersome, kind of a deal, and that's what it's talking about, the manual material handling. So here's the link, and then under the easy site, I'll just have a short little quiz, we'll call it, and the one quiz question, and it is tell me 5 things that you learned by watching this video. Okay, so it's really straightforward. It's a little bit of comic relief thrown into terrible realization on what really can happen and what can go wrong. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 13. Okay, so let's see, under module 12, there were 2 quizzes. And then here under this module, 1 quiz that covers those 5 workbook quiz questions. Looking at that highlighting, well, ought to help you quite a bit under that. And then watch the video and then take the short quiz under there. All right, well, that is it. And I hope you all have a wonderful week. We'll see you in 7 days. Goodbye.